It is a pleasure to welcome you to this Fire Chat, where we will explore practical strategies for career growth, entrepreneurship, and seizing opportunities in Nigerians' evolving landscape. I am truly excited to have all of you here. Young change makers, industry leaders, and those committed to shaping a brighter future. This conversation is deeply personal to me. I left Nigeria when I was 11 years old and have since built my career across different parts of the world. In many ways, I consider myself part of the diaspora. No matter where I lived or worked, whether in Geneva, New York, London, Bangkok, Nigeria has always remained at the heart of my journey. One of the reasons I created Hesed World is to change the narrative that often surrounds discussion about Nigeria and other developing countries. Too often, the focus is on limitations rather than possibilities. But the reality is that this country is filled with brilliant, talented, and resilient young people who are ready to thrive, if given the right opportunity, support, and mentorship. Why Hesed World works? Why does it matter? Let's take a moment to look at the big picture. Youth demographics. So Africa has the youngest population in the world with over 60% under the age of 25. Nigeria alone has a median age of 18.1 years, with nearly 70% of the population under 30. In sub-Saharan Africa, 12.7% of youth are unemployed, with millions more underemployed in informal sectors. Migration and brain drain. Over 36 million Africans lived outside their home countries in 2023, largely driven by unemployment and lack of opportunities. Brain drain cost African countries over 2 billion annually as highly skilled youth seek opportunities abroad. Entrepreneurship and job creation. Africa has the highest entrepreneurship rate in the world, with 22% of the working age population starting new businesses. However, to keep up with its growing workforce, the continent needs to create 20 million jobs annually. Capacity and skill development. Over 50% of African graduates report in underemployed due to mismatch between education and market needs. Nearly 40% of youth in developing countries lack access to basic digital skills, limiting their ability to compete in the global economy. The power of mentorship and global collaboration. Study shows that intergenerational mentorship increases youth employability and entrepreneurial success by up to 30%. Bridging developed and developing countries foster innovation, skills transfer, and long-term sustainable development. These statistics underscore the urgent need for initiatives like Hesed World, not just to fill gaps, but to unlock the vast potential of youth in Nigeria and beyond. The Hesed World approach. We believe in the power of mentorship and intergenerational collaboration. Our mission is simple, but profound: to empower young generation like you today by bridging the gap between experience and aspiration. Through mentorship, capacity building, and entrepreneurship, we aim to unlock opportunities and create a world where young people in developing countries have equitable access to economic success. We're committed to building a global network of support where experienced professionals guide, mentors, and invest in the next generation. Today's Fireside Chat is a reflection of that commitment. Bringing leaders, as you can see on stage, and young professionals together like yourself in a space for learning, inspiration, and connection. It is my honor to introduce a moderator for today's discussion, someone with vast experience in leadership, coaching, and talent development. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Abiola Orojo, executive coach and HR specialist and director of training at Coach Master Academy. Thank you very much. Over to you.
It's my pleasure to be here. I am looking forward to having fulfilling and rewarding deliberations with the speakers for today. And I'm going to have the honor now to introduce them. They have rich experience, and they're going to bring a lot of insights into the topic for today, that is empowering the next generation, navigating career and entrepreneurship in Nigeria. So I have the honor of introducing our first speaker, Ambassador Yvette Stevens. She is a former ambassador and permanent representative of Sierra Leone to the United Nations. She's an executive in residence at the Geneva Center for Security Policy and has had an illustrious career in the United Nations and also in her field of engineering. She's a graduate of the Moscow Power Engineering Institute and Imperial College. She began her career as a teacher at the University of Sierra Leone before joining the United Nations in 1980. She held key roles in UNHCR, including leading humanitarian efforts in over 30 countries and serving as UN humanitarian coordinator for Somalia. Later, she became Sierra Leone's permanent representative to the United Nations, advocating for human rights, gender equality, and trade. Ambassador Stevens is dedicated to youth mentorship, serving as the vice chair of Hesed World, and promoting engineering education in Sierra Leone through Engineers of Change. Her memoir called Breaking Open Barriers, written in 2024, chronicles her remarkable journey. We'll be looking at that journey in detail, and we're going to see how we can learn one or two things in terms of how you can chart your career to the highest level. My second speaker is Mr. Dale Sands. He is the Principal Managing Director, Sands Consulting Solution, LLC. He is a seasoned environmental engineer with extensive experience in developing growth strategies for leading firms. He served as AICAM liaison to the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Organization, the DRR, holding key leadership roles in the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group, including co-chairing from 2018 to 2019. In this capacity, he worked with MS Mami Mizetori to establish global networks promoting public-private collaboration for disaster risk reduction. Mr. Sands contributed to the 4th National Climate Assessment in 2018, led by UN-funded projects on disaster resilience, and co-developed the Disaster Resilience Scorecard. He recently assisted China in becoming the first DRR hub city in the Asia-Pacific region. Mr. Sands held senior roles at CHZM and AICAM and ABB, managing global environmental business operations. You're really welcome to this program, and we're really looking at tapping at your wealth of experience, Mr. Sands. I have our third speaker, Dr. Oluwatobiloba Moody. He is the director of United Nations World International Property Organization, the Nigerian office. He He leads efforts in awareness, in training and capacity building in intellectual property. Previously, he worked with WIPO's Traditional Knowledge Division in Geneva, coordinating global negotiations for the protection of traditional knowledge held by indigenous people. He is also a professor of law at Queen's University, Canada, and the Queen's National Scholar in International Economics Law. Toby's academic background includes a PhD in global intellectual property law from Queen's University, supported by the prestigious Vanier Scholarship, and an LLM in international trade and investment law from the University of Western Cape. He holds an LLB from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and is a member of the Nigeria Bar. Our last but not the least speaker is Mr. Temitope Meyanbe, Managing Director and Lead Consultant at Meritus Creation Limited. He is a business development consultant with over 12 years of experience in banking, operations, marketing, and business development. He has a BSc in mechanical engineering. Oh, we have a lot of engineers on today's program. He has an MBA and a doctorate in business administration. He's a certified management consultant, a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultant, IMC, Nigeria, a certified trainer. As the managing director at Meritus Creation Limited, he leads training, consulting, and monitoring projects, partnering with NIRSL Microfinance Bank, SMEDAN, and NYSC to provide business and entrepreneurship training. Passionate about small business growth and personal development, he also specializes in business strategy, risk management, and financial literacy. It's my pleasure to welcome our speakers on board. Going to start the session by just asking questions that will set the conversation rolling. And I would like to start with Ambassador Stevens. So Ambassador, in your book, Breaking Open Barriers, you detailed in it your incredible journey from walking barefoot to school to becoming Sierra Leone's permanent representative to the United Nations. What were the key moments that shaped your success? And kindly emphasize on the success factors. What are those things that that contributed to your success factors? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Now, basically why I decided to write my book, and I thought that I had to write my story. And I know that I'm not unique in that sense, but I wanted to really document my story. Because growing up in Sierra Leone, in the 50s and early 60s, in colonial Sierra Leone as a young girl, I had dreams. I mean, I really had, and I think what is important is that one should have aspirations, one should dream. Yeah, so I had three main dreams growing up. One was that I listened to the BBC. I learned about what was happening in the world. I was curious. I thought this is an interesting part. I would like to contribute. I did not know how, but as a child, I had that ambition to try to enter the international scene. The second dream I had was going to school is science. I loved science so much, and I wanted to pursue a career in science. But I was going to a girls' school where emphasis was not given at the time to girls studying science. So then I had to overcome all that. But then I took advantage of the opportunities that I had. And I think this is extremely important. One main opportunity that I had was in the library, in the local library. I went to the library and actually read and taught myself a lot of things. And And that prepared me for my life that was coming afterwards. So basically, this is one thing that one has to do. We should not accept the situation and not aspire to move from it. And then having done so, how we get ourselves to that point, using, of course, the help with all around us. And I must say something that is very important is that one should not underestimate even the mentorship, I would say, you could get from even your parents, your own parents. And I believe that that also helped me a lot in my career. I followed my dreams. The third dream I had, which is basically important when I say it to young women, is that I also had a dream to raise a family with children who would not have the opportunities that I had. And so I pursued these three dreams. And if you read my book, you would see that it was always a balancing act that I needed to do to be able to succeed. To a certain measure in all three. There are certain sacrifices that I needed to make. There are certain things that I was not able to do. But at the end of the day, by dreaming and taking advantage of all the opportunities that life offered me, I was able to reasonably achieve my three dreams. So basically the factors for success, one is that, first of all, don't be afraid to dream of what you want to be. The second thing also is that you have to learn to learn. All too often, you go to university, you study a particular subject, and then you're stuck with it. But one thing for me in going to university is not that you have a degree in a certain subject, but that you learn to learn, so you can always teach yourself. You can always do a continuous learning process, which is important for success in the world. The other thing that I would like to say here is to don't hesitate to seek mentorship or to be able to learn from those who have made it. And basically, when I went to the UN as an engineer, when I entered the UN, I was an engineer and I had to work with social scientists. As an engineer, I had trained in the institutions, and I think now our institutions of learning should open up a bit some of these disciplines, because as an engineer, I was an engineer. I couldn't even understand the language of the social scientists. I understood this. Well, the first thing that struck me, elementary things like social scientists telling me they are doing research. For me, research was something you do in the lab. But I was able to open up and understand, and through actually coming in terms with the people I had to work with and having the mentorship of my bosses, I was able to become the person I became, and that was vital for my success in the United Nations. I was an engineer, but I was able to spread myself a bit to understand and undertake a holistic approach to life and to work. And that's helped me a lot.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you for that insight. So what we are taking away from this is you must have a learning mindset. You must be prepared for the opportunities that may present themselves. So it's not where you are now, but how prepared are you for possibilities and opportunities? Thank you, Ambassador, for that insight. So I'm going to go to Dale, Mr. Sands, yes. And Mr. Sands, you have held executive roles at leading global engineering firms and served in public office. What key leadership lessons would you share with young professionals seeking to make lasting impact in their fields?
Yes, thank you for that very thoughtful question. It's a real privilege for me to join you today. I did grow up on a very small farm and was the first in my family to go to university and earn 3 different college degrees. It provided me a good foundation to pursue a career that included working or traveling to over 50 countries around the world. One of the things that I think is most important as I reflect back on my career is developing the ability to listen. Listen to the people around you, listen to your inner voice, listen to the guidance that you get and how you could apply it to become a better person, a more productive professional. So often we don't develop our listening skills as much as we develop our speaking skills. And that is very, very important. And part of that listening is do what you say, do what you commit to, and fulfill your commitments in that regard. And stick to your principles as you navigate through your career, from perhaps a startup business to a mature business to a public service, which is very transparent. You need to don't let situations compromise your integrity. Once that's gone, you've lost everything. So that's another very important point. And to that vein, it's to be honest in your business dealings, be fair, be transparent, stick to your principles, deliver to your commitments. I like to say you under promise but over deliver. These have been important principles that have guided me and led me to my career. Lastly, I would say be an encourager to the people around you. People like to be heard, they want to be involved. And if you involve them, they'll become more committed to the decision that's being ultimately produced. You know, when I think back to developing the resiliency scorecard several years ago, that scorecard idea came from a workshop that I held, and people wanted to know, how do I measure resilience? And they asked that question over and over again, how do I measure resilience? And it was from listening to that question that we developed the scorecard, which ultimately was used around the world, more than 350 cities, as a mechanism, a building block for creating solutions on improving resilience. So these kinds of 5 areas: listening, be committed to your principles, deliver on your commitments, always be fair, honest, and transparent in your decision dealings, and encourage people around you, really have been the components that have meant a lot to me and guided me in my career.
Thank you, Mr. Sands. I think what comes across here is your values and commitment towards others. The value of transparency and looking out for others, being a better person for yourself, and also listening to others. Thank you for that. I would like to call on Dr. Moody now. And my question to you would be, you have worked with top global organizations like WIPO, WTO, and CIGI. What steps can young Nigerian professionals take to position themselves for international career opportunities?
Thank you so much for the question, and let me again congratulate the organizers, Hesed, for this great forum, and thanks to the other speakers as well, because I think my notes are going to be so full before I'm done, but it's such a great pleasure learning and listening through this. I think, you know, first, I know that I'm a lawyer, so there's a bit of a different background, but in terms of this question around helping people to position themselves for international career opportunities, I think there were just a few pointers that maybe I'll just, or a few ideas that I'll share from the journey so far. I know it's still an ongoing process for me as well, so I'm still learning, and this is why it's so beneficial being here. But I think one of the first things is that I've noticed that excellence is a language, and excellence is a kind of language that that is universally accepted, and people, wherever you are, it kind of just attracts. So if you pay attention to do well at what you do, I think you naturally attract the right kind of opportunities to yourself. So it can be a small thing like doing well in a test in school. It can be the way you take care of yourself, but I just think it's a way of life. It's a habit. And when you tell yourself that you want to be excellent at what you do, I think it does open a world of opportunities, especially when you're thinking about international opportunities as well. And so there are standards that are normally going to be accepted. And one of the things you don't want to do is to lower your standards just based on an environment that you find yourself, but rather to be able to hold yourself accountable to an excellent standard as you continue to push those barriers. I think the other thing I wanted to say, a second point I just wanted to make is in positioning oneself for international opportunities, you always have to, within your local context, still think global. And I think that's something that I found very interesting as a student in the university when I was doing my first degree. Even though I was studying in Nigeria for my law degree, I remember many times still just reflecting on the fact that, and I had this mantra I'll tell myself is that I am currently in a class with about 80 students who are all in the same law degree in Nigeria. But I also recognize that there are probably another 1,000 students, 1,000 classrooms across the world who are also studying. And so in the end, in the big picture, don't just limit your sense of excellence and success within your class, but see yourself as part of a broader picture of other students all learning about law from different perspectives who at some point will be called on to be able to contribute to the future of global decisions and global choices. And so I think having that global mindset is very helpful. And in that frame, I just want to also say that something that really helped and maybe something that gave me a step into the international organization is that it's great to take advantage of local opportunities that help you to demonstrate your global skill sets. And so it can be an opportunity as simple as moderating a panel. It can be an opportunity as simple as presenting in a workshop. But I find that sometimes people run away from these opportunities because they're waiting for the very big opportunities. But it's nice to take advantage of even those opportunities in your area, that when you want to write a narration about yourself or you want to tell or demonstrate a global skill set, there are opportunities from where you are that you can make that argument with. And so, we normally talk about demonstrated interest. Someone says, hey, Toby, we want to work in this organization. And I say, how can we show that you are interested in this area? They say, well, we haven't had the opportunity to be there, so we can't. But I'm like, no, there are opportunities where you are. You might have done something as simple as conveying a mentoring circle, or people who are also interested in this. Let's have weekly meetings just to discuss this, or let me write an article and put it out. But just something that from your local space, you can demonstrate your global skill set or a skill set that can apply in a global setting. And I think it ties to the next point I wanted to just make, which is about your narrative. And coming from Nigeria, I know that one of the first things that really hit me going abroad was that we often don't always have a very strong narrative around ourselves. And so there is a sense, you come maybe second or third in your class, but for you failed and you're not happy about it. And yes, because your parents are constantly saying no, but if there's someone that came first, then why should we celebrate you come in, whether it's fourth or fifth? And I grew up in a household like that, by the way, so that's why I can make that kind of reference. And I think what it then does sometimes is when you put out whether it's a statement of intent or a statement of purpose, or you're writing a reference letter about yourself, you find that a lot of people are not able to describe in convincing ways or in glowing ways what is their success points. And being able to have strong, convincing narrations about yourself, I find is so helpful. I've had to sit down to review several applications, and sometimes you'll see some stronger applications that are not described as well as some weaker looking applications. And in that moment, you're more interested to speak to the weaker looking application just because of the way they have been able to describe whether it's a struggle. I mean, some people didn't do well in school, but they've been able to write convincing letters to say, well, while I wasn't excelling academically, these are the things that I was doing, and this is why it impacted on my academics. But overall, this is why I consider this an opportunity, you know, and when you see that, you say, I'm interested to talk to this person. And so I think there's a lot about our narrative, our narrations, that again, to the final point I want to make, that comes with mentoring. And I think it has already been mentioned, but I think something that really helped me as I was moving around was just having the chance to talk to people and to find in people's stories a pathway. When I really wanted to work with the UN, just like Yvette had mentioned in her story, I probably had this dream at an early age to just say, can I work with the UN? But I never thought it was possible. And at one point, I was in a classroom and someone from the UN had come to teach us in class. And while he was speaking in class, I was listening to the topics that he was talking about, but I was looking at him and and he just opened a world of possibility by just hearing and seeing him standing there and talking about something so passionately. And I thought, well, I can do this. And in talking, and I was able to develop a relationship with him. And just in that mentoring exchange, I began to find possibilities for myself. And I think questions around the narrative about myself, questions about demonstrating the interest, taking advantage of local spaces where you are. I mean, no one's necessarily going to come and say, take a job, but it's demonstrate from where you are that you want to do this and show your skills. And I think maybe I'll just stop there because quite a bit here, but just to stop there, I think those are some of the points I would share at this point. Thank you so much, Shabila.
Thank you, Dr. Moody. You know, what is resonating here is be prepared. I heard it from Ambassador Stevens and to some extent from Mr. Sands. And you're saying, just position yourself, be ready for the opportunity. You know, you be seasoned. And that's why you said excellence. Whatever it is that you are gone in for, just position yourself in a way that you would be excellent for that opportunity. Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm going to talk to Mr. Meyanbe now. And he has a lot of experience with NYSC and SMIDAN. So I'm going to ask a question based on his experience training over 450 business owners and 700 core members. What are the biggest challenges young entrepreneurs face, and what do you recommend in terms of how they can overcome this?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great to be here. Looking at the entrepreneurs and the challenges they're facing, the challenges are actually very enormous because I am one of them. I worked before, and right now I'm an entrepreneur. I've faced a lot of challenges and still facing. So one of the things that stands out for me is lack of entrepreneurial mindset. Now, people think that entrepreneur is for everybody. For me, I believe that entrepreneur is for the prepared. If you are not well prepared, entrepreneurship is not for you. So it's not something you just walk in and just begin to fly up there. It is something that you prepare for. It's a journey and it's a process. Because one of the things that stands out for entrepreneurship is a lot of conversion process. It's a process of converting your passion, your interest, your likes and dislikes into business venture. So one reasons why people have a lot of challenge is that the lack of entrepreneurial mindset, the lack of preparedness to be an entrepreneur. because it is not like food that you think everybody must eat food to survive. No, people can still survive through other means. In fact, in our trainings and capacity development, we highlight the two parts that you can use for growth. One is to build a career for yourself and remain employed. The second one is to be an employer of labor, to be an entrepreneur. So, in essence, if you want to toe the line of being an entrepreneur, there are certain mindsets, there are certain things, processes that you must undertake to have that the readiness of an entrepreneur. Now, lack of clarity comes in handy for me too. You're talking to people why they are in business. I tell people why are they in business, and they find it difficult to answer. I wouldn't blame them. Because when I started to, if they said, Temitope, what do you do? And if you are in business and you understand this question very well, it's actually asking me to pitch my business. Sometimes it takes me 5 minutes to be able to explain to you what I do. But as time goes on, it takes me 3 seconds now to be able to describe what I do. And you will understand perfectly what exactly my business is all about. So, lack of vision is lack of clarity. Some people, okay, what is vision? Vision is actually where you're going. And when you ask somebody, why are you in this business? He cannot even clearly state why. And to the best of my knowledge, entrepreneurship will always thrive if there is a value addition. Anywhere there is value, entrepreneurship will thrive. So if you are not able to have a clear vision, if you are not able to have a clear statement of purpose, then it will be difficult. You keep having challenges running your business, and you would think entrepreneurship does not work. Entrepreneurship works. It's just the readiness. So you find out that people will want to set goals, and their goals are not smart enough. What is smart goals? You need to set your goals and put it through the SMART concept. Your goals must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must be time bound. These are some of the things that an entrepreneur must critically sit down to check. This business I am into, can it actually stand the test of time? What am I offering the people? Is there value in here? The business I'm about starting, is it a business that is dead on arrival? Has technology taken over my business? Has events taken over my business? Is the environment accepting my business? And a whole lot of other factors that you must consider in order to run a viable businesses. So some of these challenges. Another one I identify is financial literacy, poor financial literacy. There was a time we organized a business for entrepreneurs, and the business were meant to get them ready to access funds. And two of them came to me. So I decided to see them one after the other so that there will be some form of privacy. So the first one said, Sir, I won't want to continue this process again. I was like, okay, maybe the training was not delivering value. I said, okay, what is the problem? He now told me that, wow, that the reason why his business is failing, that he has found it in the training, that money is not the issue. Therefore, he won't continue the process of accessing fund. I was so happy to hear that with training and capacity development, people could realize the gaps and be able to fit in exactly. So, another one, the second person now came in to say that, wow, I just realized my issue now. My issue is not finance again. But I went further to ask, what exactly is your issue? He said the issue is staffing. Of course, we touched on human resource and other areas of business endeavor. And so it was clear that these people does not have enough orientation before they have business. Of course, business is a place for continuous learning. So entrepreneurship is an opportunity for continuous learning. Whichever way you look at it, we all learn every day. And another thing I want to say that is a major challenge of entrepreneurs is market understanding. Yeah, just that anytime I want to train, I ask people, why are you in business? What do you want in a business? Now, and another question is, who do you want your business to service? Who are the set of audience that your business will satisfy? So I realize that people find it very difficult to answer because they have not done their market research. They have not conducted enough research to find out the suitability of their market relating to their business. Imagine you doing a pork business in a typical environment that forbids that. Maybe their culture forbids that. And I see that happen a lot. So, market feasibility, your understanding of the market, the study of your customers' need, your customers' pain points, they are actually the factors that makes your business succeed. So up till this moment I'm speaking, we still attend to entrepreneurs that have a lot of issues defining the market that they want to serve. Then another thing is inadequate support system. People don't go for mentorship. The support system is very weak. As I've said, entrepreneurship is a place of continuous learning. So if you don't interact with the adequate communities that can help you succeed, it is difficult succeeding alone. Sometimes in my office, I just scroll my phone and I call a friend. Say, hello, how are you? Can we meet? Can we take lunch together? We say, okay, fine. When I eventually meet my friend, I tell my friend that, wow, I am confused here. At this stage of my business, I am confused. I don't know what else to do. So it's good to own up somebody. Sometimes you just talk to people, especially people that you feel can help you navigate to. So build a support system for yourself. Build a community of valuable contributors to your business. A typical example of the community you can build is possibly your trade association or something. Like for me, I did a course. I did a course. They call it CMD. That is Center for Management Development. There's the apex body that approves trainers and facilitators in Nigeria. Anytime I have training needs or I have challenges, we built a community while undergoing the training. That community still serves to this moment, till today. Any problem I have, I run there and I get the problem solved. So I realized that one of the challenges of entrepreneurs of young entrepreneurs is that they think they can do it alone. They think it's a journey that they can start and complete successfully. So it's a bit difficult to do this without a mentor, because in real sense there is nothing that you want to do right now that somebody has not done before. There is no challenge that you're having right now that somebody has not navigated and got solution for it. So these are one of the things I feel. There are a lot more. Another challenge that of course everybody is facing, of course we know that, is the unfriendly business environment. The environment is actually very tense. Well, typically here in Nigeria, the prices of things goes up. I don't. It's not even. It's geometric, and the cost of energy is killing small businesses, which is a lot of things. In fact, this morning I still heard over the radio that there's a gross increase in the network providers has increased their tariffs, and so it's not funny for you as a startup or a business that have not got so much financial muscles to be able to cope with these expenses. And that is why it is one of the things that we teach, that look, when you are flying, fly light. When you are climbing a ladder to the next stage of your life, don't carry too much heavy load. And so when we go to consult for businesses, we check what are the unnecessary loads that you can share. What are the loads you are carrying that you don't need? So these are some of the things, because the business environment is not friendly. It's not friendly at all. So these are some of the few challenges I can say that young entrepreneurs are having till this moment as I speak to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Meyanbe. And you have given us a real list of things that entrepreneurs need to really watch out for. And one thing that I think I can hold on to as a thread from all that has been spoken is mentorship. I heard you talk about mentorship, having a community. I heard Dr. Moody talking about looking at a role model and looking through the lens of that role model to define who you are and who you want to be. And then Ambassador Stevens also mentioned about mentorship. I want to go back to Ambassador Stevens, and I want to say that and ask, she has launched a mentorship program for young African women in diplomacy. What impact has it had, and how can mentorship help young people succeed in their careers?
Yeah. Okay. My work in terms of mentorship for work in the United Nations was not only just limited to that, but I talk about that since that was where your question started. I realized that people from our parts of the world, do not have the opportunities to be exposed to the international organizations, even if they're highly qualified. Because from developed countries, they always put junior professional officers paid by the government itself to work, or associate professional officers to work in these organizations. And after they have worked for 2-3 years, they apply for jobs and they get the jobs. But how many of our countries have that money to pay for some young person to come and at their expense to get the experience within the United Nations? So I started this whilst I was ambassador. I got money from the Australian mission here to bring some. It was a large number of women. It was 5 young women from 5 different countries under the mentorship of their ambassadors here. These were all women ambassadors because we wanted to launch this as a female ambassador initiative. And they came to Geneva for 3 months. They accompanied the ambassadors everywhere. They listened to the discussions. And by the end of their term here, it was only 3 months, they were able to actually, I was my own mentee who had just finished. In fact, it was interesting. She had just finished a medical course in Sierra Leone, and I wanted to expose her to WHO here. And by the time she came after the 3 months, I could get her to go and make a statement on my behalf. So that was very powerful. But the unfortunate thing about my program was that I ceased to be ambassador because our government changed and I was recalled. And I could not get anybody to continue that program. So basically, to say to you that I could not tell you what happened to these girls after that because I was not able to continue this program. But I'm doing continued mentorship of women here in the international scene. Basically, when I was still ambassador, what we did was that when the science organizations like WIPO or International Communications Organization, when they're having their annual conference, the day before the conferences start, we bring together all the women delegates come in and we have a session to them. And what we did in those sessions is to empower them, if you like, because in these science organizations, a few women come and sometimes they don't even speak. they find themselves. So what we did was to give them, to empower them to be able to come out and speak. And that, I think, worked whilst I was still ambassador. But what I continue today is within the Geneva Center for Security Policy, there is a program for young women leaders in pulling from diplomats in Geneva, and also because, again, they're hybrid courses from all over the world. And I have a session where I tell them my experience. I try to, again, empower them and to let them know. One thing I didn't say when you asked me in terms of my success story is that my motto throughout my life was that either the best or nothing. And I think it's helpful because if I'm doing anything and I ask myself always, is it the best? And that really inspires me to try to do the best. So, okay, I try to impart on these young women leaders. In fact, next week, I also will be involved with these young women leaders who are coming here. And my whole objective is to act as a mentor, as it were, to let them actively participate in the international life, in the life of International Geneva as women. And I tell you, it is really, for me, the results there is remarkable, because when you see, when you go to the meetings and you see some of the women that has gone through your part of your course, you see them, the confidence that they have in themselves. I think that is extremely important. Another mentorship that I have done is we have an organization which is Engineers for Change Sierra Leone. Our objective is, part of our objective is, of course, to influence training of young engineers and also to mentor young engineers. I'm also a part of that, and I focus on women. Excuse me, I have no problems with men, but I thought that in my field as an engineer and having set the pace in my country, I had this obligation, if you like, to actually empower the women engineers in my country, and I still did it. Only last month, I went back home and we launched what we call the Fearless Women Initiative, which was for young girls who had just finished university in engineering and find themselves. In fact, it's amazing because they are in the engineering profession and they find that they just have this sense, because it's a field that is dominated by men. They tend to want to pull themselves back to say, well, okay, yes, yeah, well, they don't really appreciate what they can do. And empowering them is so important, to say that you went through the same course, you passed it, you happen to be a woman, but you're as competent as the men, and you have to stand up and for yourself. So that one I find is also working very well. So my mentorship has been something which started and which continues, because I do believe, and I focus on women because I think, because of my field in engineering, where I feel that women, and also in diplomacy here in Geneva, where you do not have so many women. So my whole objective is to mentor young women, and to also to give them, to empower them, to let them appreciate that they can do as well, if not even better than the men. And I'm saying this, and I'm very proud. I mentioned the third part of my girls. My daughters have done extremely well. And they always say, my mom is my role model. But anyway, I'm just trying to say how it's important to have role models, and how role models should try to empower, to try to strengthen the will and the determination of the people that they have around them.
Thank you, Ambassador. And what I'm hearing and what is really resonating for me is that you need to be able to network. It's about networking and getting the right people to connect with, who can mentor you, who can give you share experiences and give you advice and guidance to empower you. I kept on hearing empowerment, being confident. So I think this is something that the young ones should not just sit and wait for things to jump on their laps. They must get out there, look for opportunities. And on that note, I want to go to Mr. Sands, because he also has been part of mentoring programs. He has contributed to many global resilience initiatives. I just want him to share the role of mentorship and what it has, how it has played out in preparing the next generation to tackle his area of expertise, which is climate and environmental challenges, so that at least we can draw some learnings from it. Over to you, Mr. Sands.
Thank you very much. You know, so many thoughts come to mind during the course of this discussion. I recall back my mentor that I had when I came out of college. I was book smart, but I didn't really understand the business environment at all. And I had someone that took me under her wing and coached me for about 3 years. That really made all the difference to me in my career. And often the messages that she taught me or brought to me carried me through, decades long of work. And so when I think about, Nigeria and the time that I spent in Nigeria, as well as in Uganda and so on, is that the most precious resource that we have in Nigeria is its youth, its young people. And I saw this firsthand in Abuja when Kiki and I were doing a resiliency workshop, and the youth were so anxious, so involved, and so engaged in wanting to be a part of the solution. They would benefit from mentoring for sure, but their enthusiasm was overwhelming. And I think that's an important component in mentorship, is to both to mentor to give, but also mentor to receive. We kind of play it forward, so to speak. When I mentored people, I also got mentored. It was unanticipated benefit of giving to others that enriched me. And so listening in mentorship is a very important aspect of growth. Tremendous people, tremendous energy and resources. But if you don't learn as you grow, and you can learn through your mentor on lessons learned, and build that two-way exchange, so that you not only receive but you also give, becomes very dynamic, and you become better at what you're doing. So it's giving and receiving in the mentorship process that really builds, I think, our young people into being more capable to contribute in such a significant way. And the future is really our youth. And to the extent that we can hand the baton off to the new generation on lessons that we've learned, mistakes that we've made, we can fail faster. We can become better faster. And it's just, it is like the most incredible stepping stone that we need to really go to the next level, which is why, Hesed World has got such good timing, because the cornerstone of it is really mentoring and sharing with each other to make a better world. And so we can't go forward without mentoring. It's vital.
Thank you, Mr. Sands. And that's really reinforcing what Hesed World is really standing for, and what is on their front burner going forward from today. Now, just for 1 minute or 2 minutes, Dr. Moody, we've talked a lot about mentoring, and I really want to embed that topic. How can young Nigerians effectively build meaningful connections that open doors to new opportunities?
It's a good question. Maybe one of the things that I would say is in terms of building connections, I think it's, of course, taking advantage. And I think there are all the usual suspects that we normally would talk about. Feel free to connect with people, on LinkedIn, on social media platforms. It's nice to make connections, to reach out. It's good to take advantage of opportunities when you go to meetings, and if there's someone or people who really stand out to you and you're inspired by, to feel free to reach out and to connect, make those connections, right? But I think there's a lot that needs to still go on with the individual. And for me, maybe just one thing to say is that it's important in terms of forging meaningful relationships to really come with the value that you're bringing. And the value that you're bringing can be the clarity of a dream, the clarity of a picture of what you want to do, or where you see yourself going, why you believe this person can be helpful to you on your journey. And sometimes, just that sense of purpose, which I think has already been shared today, and the sense of the vision and your dream is something that, again, you find helps you to draw those, not just fleeting relationships, but more deep, meaningful conversations that could be sustained over time. So I think maybe I'll just say that in a nutshell, it's important for people to believe in themselves, to be clear about the dreams that they have, and to take advantage in that self-belief of these opportunities, to meet with people. Finally, and I mean finally, I think one thing I've learned and I've seen a lot of times from mentors and people who have really spoken on my behalf in different places is that people often come back to ask questions about the person. If you're not too sure about someone, you find that people normally would have feedback. And so I often say that it's important for you in yourself to be good at, not just in terms of excellent, but in your character, the way you treat people, the way you get along with people in your space, because it goes a long way, even in leaving the kind of impression on the people that you're reaching out to. So I'll just stop there.
Oh, wow. I think we've gone full circle. Maybe I'll ask Mr. Meyanbe to give us a closing comment in terms of his own experience working with the youths. What sort of mindset is necessary for them to change in terms of leveraging the opportunities? I mean, you've worked with so many youths through SMEDIAN and through NYSC. What mindset shift do you think they need to be able to take advantage of all the opportunities that we have talked about today?
Okay, thank you. If I'm to say one of the most important to me, I would say continuous learning. Because
Okay.
learning is lifelong. As long as you are
Yeah.
living, you must learn. And there's something about learning. Learners are earners. It means the more you learn, the more you can earn. And it seems some of this younger generation lack the patience to actually stay learning. So, yes, one of the things that we emphasize on is capacity building. At certain age, before you are 40, you should build capacity well loaded that it will sustain you a lifetime. So continuous learning is for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that really helps us to wrap everything together today, because Ambassador Stephen started with learning. She gave us her life journey of learning, and we are rounding it up to say you shouldn't settle for less. You should make sure that you stand tall, ahead, and out of the crowd. You shouldn't see the disabilities that are around you that won't allow you to grow and to succeed. You should begin to look for opportunities to learn and grow so that you can take advantage of those opportunities. I am so happy that this conversation is going on, because I see a lot of young people who do nothing but complain and groan. But this session has told you that you have your destiny in your hand. You can take charge. Your background doesn't really is not going to hold you down. It is how you see yourself, the lens in which you see yourself, and your future, your vision. And thank you all. I want to thank all our contributors and speakers. I would hand over to Kiki now, just as I round up from this conversation. Over to you, Kiki.
Thank you very much. It's been quite enriching to hear the discussion. What I hope we could have, because we still got another, 90 minutes left, and I want to maximize that time. I'm sorry, because I know some people have actually asked some questions. Mrs. Abiola, I think you have some questions already gathered.
Okay, so I think the one that really resonates is that, and I think it's Mr. Meyanbe would be able to answer that. It's about funding. So the question is what are the ways in which they can get funding to be able to run a small scale business? I know you've been you have expertise in this. What are those things that they could do to position them to get support and assistance?
Okay, one of the ways that we can seek, one, I usually of the opinion that before you conclude that money is the issue for your business growth or money is the reason for your business growth, you need to do some sort of assessment. For me, I'm an advocate of this saying that you can actually start business with zero capital. But be it as it may, that we need money at different stages of our business. I think one of the ways we can raise money is one, personal savings. Because even in banks, if you approach commercial bank for financial support, there is a portion there called equity contribution. Now they want to see your seriousness to the business. If you're asking somebody to fund your business 100%, it will not work. So one of the things that commercial bank asks, they call it conditions precedent to drawdown. Those are which is contained in the risk acceptance criteria. So you must have a contribution to show enough seriousness to your business. So personal savings is one of those things. However, sometimes we think starting big means business success. I'm of the opinion that there is no business that you cannot start small. Even in the oil and gas, you can start small. If you have a dream to build a refinery, you can start selling petrol, you can start selling engine oil, and you gradually move there. So at some stage that you can accommodate a lot of huge money, that is when you should go for it. So I'm saying this because I have seen a lot of a lot of people misled by this notion of having big money meaning big business. It does not. Big money can just be a big fall. So, as I said, one of the reasons is personal savings. Then you can ask for a lot of funding options. Another one is that we have governmental sources, we have non-governmental sources. So for governmental sources, Nigeria particularly, we have banks that belongs to government, we have agencies and organizations that belongs to government. A typical example of agencies that belongs to government that can assist in funding is SMEDAN. SMEDAN means Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. SMEDAN is the foremost organization that promotes, that assists, and support it's nano, small, and medium enterprises. So it means a full range of small enterprise can be supported by this organization. What they are supporting may not necessarily be your business need, but I know that currently, I think there's a form of support going on right now in partnership with some commercial banks. So it is for any willing entrepreneur to visit such places and access opportunities. Another governmental agency that is directly supervised by Central Bank of Nigeria is Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry is an industrial bank that can support your, what's it called? That can support your equipment, the purchase of your equipment and so. So they are also running programs. Another bank is Development Bank of Nigeria. That one too can also support. But you see, the common the common person in business feels that this, this, these organizations I'm mentioning cannot help. Some people will not even take attempts to go there and ask. For example, and I'm very particular about Smidan. Smidan has listening ears. Smidan have staff that are qualified enough to resolve your issues, to attend to you and support your business. In fact, they even have clinics for training. They have a lot of things, but most people will not even get there to seek support. Now, talking about commercial banks too, I tell people if you do business the right way, you will be able to access funds. A lot of people still run their businesses using their personal account, their individual accounts, which is wrong. When they need money and go to commercial banks will ask for your statement of account, your corporate name, not your individual name, and they will realize that you have not done anything to 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 deserve the loan or whatever. So these are a lot of it may not be as easy as it is, but it is possible. People are accessing loan whichever way. Then another one is through cooperatives. There are a lot of cooperative systems that works. So I advise young entrepreneurs to join cooperative, to join the right communities so that they can get assistance. A lot of things this can be done through monthly contributions. Then it can also be done corporately. I know of an anchor borrower system that is through NISA Microfinance Bank, supervised by Central Bank again. They assist farmers, but they don't assist farmers individually. They assist farmers through cooperatives. So a lot of means and opportunities that we can access money apart from our personal savings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So before I say the next steps and stuff, I would like to ask Toby, because he works for WIPO. WIPO must have some kind of tools or information that young people can get access to. Are you able to share that with us in 2 minutes?
Okay. Thank you so much, Kiki, for that. And maybe just to again acknowledge the contribution from Mr. Meyanbe. He's absolutely right that a lot of funding sources from Smidan, opportunities out there. From WIPO, as you know, we are specialized UN agency focused on IP, intellectual property. And one of the things we always try to encourage, of course, is that, especially for business owners and the likes, it's important from an early stage of your business to manage your intellectual property properly. And I think it's one of the challenges we've really had on the continent. A lot of times we have these fantastic ideas, new innovations, but they're not adequately protected. And so the economic benefits that come just from not the tangible property, but these intellectual properties, whether it's the know-how, the patents, or the trademarks, your brands, or if you're an author, the copyrights to your work, whether it's music, it's literary and art. And so one of the things we've started doing, or we do for startups and for SMEs, is to provide mentoring and training for SMEs. And so we do have a number of programs. Again, Kiki, I'll share with you a number of links. We have one for youth corpers who are posted across the country. We have something for startups that's called the IP Labs. We have something also for green innovators, which is the IP for green innovators, especially those in the hardware space. And maybe just a point on the funding as well, because a lot of times when people go through the programs, they do mention to us the difficulties in getting funds, particularly to support the registration of their intellectual property. And what we've been able to do, of course, is collaborate with another department, which is the Office of Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP. And NOTAP has funding to support with patent registrations in particular. And so if anyone's interested, it's just to know that NOTAP is available to support on that. And if you are coming through our programs as well, we have those direct connections that we provide that at no cost to the person coming through. Of course, we also do have partnerships with the IP Lawyers Association of Nigeria, and a lot of people try to struggle with funding to pay for lawyers' fees. Okay, how do I get legal advice for my business? Again, we do have those collaborations, which makes at least the pro bono legal counsel available to such small and medium enterprises. So those are some things, but Kiki, I'm happy to share with you a lot more that you can make available to everyone who's on the call. Yeah.
Excellent. That's exactly what I want to hear. So as you can see, there are many tools, right? It's just that sometimes you don't know where to find it. So I think one of the things I'm seeing coming across is this. We will do a summary of this meeting. We will get some thanks to all the people who have contributed, and especially with what Toby is saying, we will get the access, whatever tools that is available, we will share that with you as a follow-up for this meeting. Then the second thing I wanted to just say is this. When I was listening to everyone, I just wanted to repeat certain things I put down. Ambassador Stevens says, learn to learn. Yeah, learn to learn. Learning mindset will get you everywhere. Nothing will come to you. You have to learn to learn. And Mr. Sand says, develop the ability to listen. Listen and also he said that if you under-promised and over-deliver. So if you say that I'm going to do X and you don't do it, it's not good. But if you say, I'm going to do it, I would like to do it, but I might have some kind of challenges to do it, and then you come out and you actually do it, then you're more likely to be taken as an honest person to deal with. So remember that too. And then some of the things I'm also hearing is this, I do like it when Dr. Moody was talking about excellence. Excellence is so important. There is no reason why you cannot become someone. You've heard the story of Ambassador Stevens. You've heard the story of Mr. Sands. They came from a very humble background, and today they're sharing what they know with you. So I'm sure you can do it too. And we also talk about this, the mentoring aspect of things. The mentoring for me, it's quite significant because I remember when I was working for the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, I actually had a wonderful Swedish lady, Margareta Wonstrom, and I don't know why. I mean, let's say, the Africans were a minority in my workplace, right? And yet, he would always have time to coach me, to guide me. And she always said to me, I'm not investing in what you see today, I'm investing for your tomorrow. And so you see how things go around. Now we're doing something, all of us collectively are trying to invest in you. So what I'm saying is that you can definitely do it. I know that Nigeria has the potential. And we all know that you have potential, but I think that by working together, you're not alone. We just started. Hesed World became Hesed World in 2024, but the passion behind it, don't underestimate it. Since I remember, I just wanted to change that narrative. I just hated it. I just knew that Nigerians and not just Nigerians, all the young people are made of something solid. They just need a helping hand. So therefore, please Don't go away. We're working with you. We will be sharing a lot of things with you. So this fireside chat is one of many that we're going to have. So we're also going to be going into this career and entrepreneurship workshop. So sign up to Hesed World in our website. We have a Hesed World thing. Sign up to it, and we will make sure that we get you more information. So we will do career and entrepreneurship workshop, vocational and leadership workshop, youth development panel discussion, mentorship program. So we've got a lot packed in here, but we can't do all by ourselves. So if you feel that there's any way that you need improvement or anything that will help us to improve, please share it with us. And then lastly, I just would like to say thank you. I want to thank Ambassador Stevens. And the reason for this is that whenever she speaks, it brings tears to my eyes, because she's an incredible woman. She's accessible. She really loves the continent, and she really wants you to do good. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. And Mr. Sands, I know him as Dale. Dale actually came with me to Nigeria. And Dale said to me, he said, Kiki, Nigerian youths, they're really special. They're really bright, So you see, it doesn't matter whether Dale is from the US or from anywhere else, but the fact is that he saw your potential. And again, this is the reason why he's here talking to you today. So a big thank you, Dale. I knew you had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning all the way from Hawaii to come and join us. So thank you very much for that. And thank you also to Toby for joining us at the last moment. Thank you very much. And Temitope, thank you very much indeed. And lastly, I do want to thank our wonderful moderator, Abiola. Thank you so much. You have been excellent, and we look forward to working with you more. And one of the things I wanted to actually, I'm putting you right here on show, is that you are the director of the Mentors program. I'm sure we can use some of your know-how in terms of this coaching network global that you have. Perhaps we can tap into that to help some of these youth. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to that part. And then lastly, thank you to all of you who are present today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Please don't give up. You see, don't give up, because you mean a lot. It takes a little step, and that little step can build a city, can build a community. Okay, so don't give up. Continue to work hard, pray hard, work hard, pray hard, but do your own part as well, please. And final, I want to thank all the people who are behind the scene, people like Ebon and also Tina, Israel, and all the advisory group for Hesed World, as well as the core team. Thank you very much for making all this possible. So thank you very much. The next one, we're also going to be going to Kenya, and then we're going to go to Malawi. These are the 3 pilot countries we have. So please join as well. It's part of a movement we're doing right now. It's 7:01. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Bye for now. Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.